In the town of Deanston, we have the Deanston Distillery, which started up in 1966, but it has a much earlier history than that. The distillery started in 1785 as a cotton mill designed by Sir Richard Arkwright, the famous inventor of the water-powered spinning frame, and it ran for 180 years. The mill shut down in 1965. But a year later, the owner of the mill, James Finley Company, in a partnership, started up the new Deanston Distillery. The distillery has some old school equipment, like the open top 11-ton cast iron mash tun, and it's the only one like it in Scotland. It has 8 60,000 litre steel washbacks, 2 18,000 litre wash stills, and 2 16,000 litre spirit stills. The stills have a bulbous constriction in them, and the line arms are slightly angled upwards. This helps take out the sharp tones and leaves the fruity esters. The river teeth powered the old cotton mill, as it does today for the distillery. The cotton mill was powered by 4 water wheels, including Hercules, second largest in the world. In 1949, they were replaced with water turbines, which are still used today. The river teeth is not only the source of power for the distillery, but is also the water that they use in their whiskey. Deanston single malts are bottled at a minimum of 46% ABV, they're non-chill filtered, and no color is added. The Deanston Distillery is located on the River Teith, 10 kilometers northwest of Stirling, Scotland. Well, welcome to Noel's World of Whiskey. And what do we got here tonight? Well, we did the Deanston 12, and I thought we would continue along here with the 18. So this has not been opened, and we are going to open it. So I've been very patient with this one here. I thought about this for quite a while, and I'm finally doing it. So, new bottle. Let's open it up. Interesting, a little different this bottle here, because they don't have the little piece of metal paper there covering it. And oh my golly, there goes the cork. I'm going to show you what can happen to a bad cork. You can see it there. So that, you saw it live, eh? Well, we survived it. We found another cork. By the way, save your corks, because that can happen to you. It's happened to me a few times, but to catch it on camera, that was kind of, you know, I did, what, 1 in maybe 50 bottles? But it does happen, especially these older whiskeys. You know, they've been bottled and been sitting around for a few years. And this is not the new edition. This is the edition. I think they do have a newer edition. So I'm going to show you the bottle and give you a little close up there. And of course, the color. Thought I'd give you a chance to just compare the color of the two there. You know, the one, obviously 12, and maybe we'll just hold them sideways there so you can get a little bit better of an idea there. So the 12 and the 18. Anyway, let's give it a pour. And we all know a little bit about this distillery. If you don't, I will have a little bit of an introduction. My previous review on the 12 gave a little bit of the history of the cotton mill. It goes back to 1785, and it ran for 180 years, and in 1965 it closed. And it was a model town, Deanston, and a young fellow by the name of James Smith, 17 years old. They sent him up to run this mill, and he turned out to be a very smart guy, a bit of a genius. He was very innovative, and maybe contrary to that era with the Dickens stories of how brutal the conditions were in mills and mines and living conditions in general. And that was a model town. It was the opposite. So he created a much more comfortable environment for the workers. And the kids had to get educated. The kids, they needed to go to grade 9 before they could work in the mill. And so he built a school. He built the roads. He made sure that they had housing. He made sure that they had coal ranges so that they could cook, and also they had the ability to be able to dry their clothing, etc. So James Smith, and another famous fellow, the designer of the mill, Sir Richard Ackright. I mean, he was another genius, inventor and architect. He invented he advanced the spinning jenny to where it could tighten the textile material. The actual product was a lot more dense than that, because they had this incredible horsepower from the largest water wheels in the world. Well, the second largest water wheel in the world, that mill had, I think it was 36.5 feet diameter, and they called it Hercules, and it produced 300 horsepower. So back in those days, that was a lot of power. And they had 4 water wheels. Eventually, I think in the 40s, they took the wheels down and they converted it to hydro turbines. Anyways, 1966, a year after it closed, James Finley and Company, the owner of the cotton mill, turned it into a distillery with a partnership, and they ran it for 12 years before tough times. And we see tough times in the whiskey industry through the years and that, and a lot of distilleries closed at that time. So it was closed for 8 years. Invergordon had purchased it already from James Finley, and they basically, I think it was Invergordon, and then Burns Stewart ended up purchasing it from them, so who own it today. But anyways, let's get into this. Let's give it the nose. So, off the bat, I always get a little bit of perfume from Deanston. Cologne smell, nice cologne smell. Sweet and sours, cinnamon notes. Oh, lots of cinnamon notes. I've always liked the Deanston nose. This is quite a strong, much stronger than the 12. A wee bit of tart. It's not a lot of sweetness yet. Mostly tart. And in the background there, apples, pears, but I'm going to say tart, not ripe pears, not ripe apples. Even a little bit of lime. Oh, slight bit of tobacco. Getting something here. It's pull it away here. It's almost something. Maybe a bit of coffee notes coming in here. Yeah, coffee. So I'm going to show you the legs here. I'll just give it a quick spin, and let's try to get it this time in the focus of the camera. Sometimes I hold it sideways. I can kind of get a better idea of what the angle of the lens is there. So let's just try that. See if that helps there. To the palate. Well, spice, pepper, little bit of coffee notes mixed with tobacco in the background, and now the cinnamon. Boy, it's a spicy drink at this stage here. Getting a wee bit of honey, and it definitely coats the mouth. It's a tongue coater. The sweet and sours are there. I am starting to get the sweet notes now, and the pears, bananas, melons. The intensity of the whiskey is such that it does leave quite a bit. Like I didn't let it sit for a long time. Now this is an 18-year-old. Normally, I like them to sit for a while. You know, that's why I was talking there for a while. So because I opened it fresh, it didn't get a chance to sit. A lot of times I'll let the drink sit for a bit, but it's not fair to the whiskey. It does have to sit a bit. It's got to air out. So we'll just give it a little bit of a swirl here. Maybe we'll go back to nose it a little bit more, and then we'll add a little bit of water. But we will do one more sip before we add the water. Oh, we're getting a little bit more of the sweeter notes here, even something creamy. Bananas. Yeah, we're getting a little mellower in the spices there. Ginger is really prominent here. Yeah, gingerbread. You know, so dough and malt notes. I'm going to say gingerbread. But there is a bit of malt you can get. You're getting a bit of the wood here too. We'll try the palate again here. Oh, it helped a bit there. Sweet honey. This is it's a real interesting drink in that I'm getting something completely different here in spices. Boy, I've said oregano before, but it's, yeah, something like oregano. There was a lot of floral notes the last time when I nosed it there, so, and the spices are mellowed a bit, so the slighter on the tobacco. Still got a little bit of the coffee in the background there, but we are getting a bit of the chocolate now. Good coating on the mouth, boy. Velvet coating. I've read some of the reviews. There's a bit of a dryness, maybe, and I actually started this review. I was dry, but this isn't bad. This is, I'm not finding it dry, but I know the longer I leave this in the glass, the better it's going to get. I'm ready for the finish. Let's try the finish. Boy, Deanston's got a signature taste to it. There's no question about that. But coffee mixed with tobacco, with a bit of barley sugar maybe. Or maybe even some almost a bit of a latte going on here with nutmeg even. Somewhere between that and the barley sugar and cappuccino. In the background, yeah, still got a little tobacco in the background. Good coating on the tongue. Melons have kind of disappeared. A slight bit of the dark fruit showing up. Pears and apples have disappeared, but definitely getting some of the dark fruit. Maybe more of the prunes. Yeah, prunes, maybe even some dates. As we're getting to the tail end of the finish here. Spice is fading away there, and more of the dark fruits coming in. So, interested. Well, time for some water. Let's see what the water does. I'm going to say the good thing here is we're letting it sit for a while, and I really believe the oak is played its part here. This is ex-bourbon, I think it's good casks. There's definitely some oak in, so not too much water here. We're just enough. See what happens there. You can always add a little more. Yeah, we're getting the sweetness out of the wood now. The lignum. Yeah, when I read that Dr. Livermore book, that was amazing. How I had chemicals in the back of my brain. I think for a while I was doing reviews. I was referencing him on a regular basis because he really, being a doctor and a scientist and a doctorate of, of chemistry, and he has got a doctorate in distilling. So he just has a different way of describing how he looks at whiskey, how he tastes it, how he reviews it, and it's different than the traditional reviews that we get. Certainly different than the Ralphies and the G Whiskies and the Four Dummies. Anyways, I think the stuff is ready. Oh yeah. So it's getting creamier now. And I was saying more. We still got a bit of the sweet and the sweetness and the sour notes there, but we're getting closer to the ripe melons and pears, maybe even cantaloupe. But there's still the tartness. This drink, it kind of a Glencaddam thing, that tartness, but this is more intense than a Glencaddam. So tobacco's not so much there now, but I will say that we've got the gingerbread still there, and if there's any apples, it's going to be apple crisp, kind of a tart apple crisp, maybe with blackberries. Okay, with water. Wow. Amazing stuff, water. So it definitely sweetened it out. I mean, from the nose, when I first got the nose, I wasn't ready for the intensity of the palate. This time the nose is still fairly strong. The palate is really mellow. So interesting. It's a very interesting drink. Definitely a lot more of the sweet notes coming through. Almost vanilla. Getting the vanilla from the casks. So the casks I was tasting, we were definitely tasting the oak and the spice from the oak and that, and a bit of the bourbon. But now it's just the sweetness of the oak. Honey sweetness, vanilla. Oh boy. Little of the clover honey. Oh, a wee bit of the tobacco in the background, but more of a mix with. I'm going to say more of the cappuccino, but it's still a good coating on the tongue, and I kind of find that because this is the first I've drank this 18. So my first impression with it is more exploring. I don't have any quick, ready descriptors because this is my first drink. So this is just an honest review. I never know what to expect. I open it up. Yeah, it has a little bit of the Deanston. There's no question about that. But it's not this Deanston here. I'll tell you. And I just watched a Ralphie review, and he's got the new version of this. He was just he did the old one. It was actually Jeff Whisky was doing the new version. I don't think he's a great fan of Deanston, but he did give the new version a pretty good review there. And I've seen his other reviews. He's certainly not big on the 12 here, but He seemed to be a lot more favorable toward the new, and it has more it has this kind of a container here, the new one. So, but Ralphie gave this a good review. He gave the older one a fairly good review on that. But his take on this was more, the intensity, the spices and all that. But that doesn't, his palate's not like mine. I've learned that. I mean, he's got some stuff I really like, but there's the odd time where I've been in disagreement with him. So, and that's going to happen. I've been drinking whiskey as long as all these guys. I'm an old bugger, so I started when I was quite young. And drinking scotch, blended scotches when I was very young. So. And I've told lots of stories about that. My dad and him bringing back from the Second World War, his interest in Scotch and Scotland and that culture. But through the years, I've had there are times when I've wandered away from Scotch and then got back into it, and I'm probably more knowledgeable today of what to look for, but I am still learning. I think this is a drink that'll keep educating you. I'm learning about other whiskeys through Scotch, and I always say, learn wine and you'll learn whiskey. My daughters are sommeliers, and they know their wine. And the interesting thing is what I've learned from them about wine has helped me understand whiskey. And because we cure or we finish a lot of our whiskeys in wine casks and that, though again, learn your bourbons, and doesn't hurt to learn Canadian whiskey. Casks have an effect on the finish of a whiskey, and so does yeast. It has a big effect on it, and you'll see this with, the first I learned about how important yeast was through wine. But guys like Dr. Livermore, that's a key with their, their creation of their whiskeys, Lot 40 and Pike Creek and some of these whiskeys. And Mike Henry with Loch Lomond. That's the thing that he emphasizes. So. But, and then of course the shape of the stills, that's very important. And some talk about the barley. Mark Rainier, he swears it's the barley. Where the barley's from, it can change the taste of a whiskey, But anyways, one last sip. Maybe this one's for me. So, just finishing off. Still good coating on the tongue. This has a good long finish, by the way. So I will put a long medium finish to this. I will also put it in the 87 bracket. I think that's a fair score for this. It took me a while. I was at 86, and then when I added the water and let it sit for a while, it's an 87. So I'm going to recommend this whiskey. Please don't do what I do or what I did. Don't just pour it right from the bottle. It's intense. Let it sit in the glass for a bit. This is improved because I let it sit in the glass, and it will improve with a little bit of water. It can take water. You don't need a lot, but it really smartens it up and makes this a very palatable whiskey. So there's two things that are very important to appreciate this whiskey. Let it sit in the glass for a while. I think Ralphie had it there for 10, 12 minutes while he was doing his little presentation of that. I didn't. And, it's a spicy drink. It's intense. And I used to drink stuff like that. But I think to really enjoy this, let it sit in the glass. It's been in a cask for 18 years, and it has a very strong influence from that cask. And it's the nature of this whiskey. So we talk about enjoying a whiskey and knowing how to drink a whiskey, and there's little things that we do that make a whiskey. It's not fair to the whiskey. We don't give the whiskey a chance. I did that with a 23-year-old old Perth. I opened up and I didn't give it enough time to sit, and it just about knocked me over. I mean, after 23 years, I think the rule of thumb used to be 1 minute for every year. Well, at least a half a minute for every year. So my score is going to be 87. I recommend this. I'm going to say that Deanston is one of my, it's one of my more favorable distilleries. Certainly one I'd really like to visit. And I'm going to ask you to drink wisely, drink intelligently, do not drink and drive, and until the next time, so much.